You worship that God directly as well. Fantastic. But do you associate any partners with that God? Now that's the question I'm going to ask you. Do you associate any partners with him? So for example, Jesus.
Well, I believe in what the Bible says.
Yes.
I know we disagree on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jesus said a number of things.
Okay.
We mentioned his titles.
Yeah.
We've also mentioned earlier, before you arrived,
Yeah, sure.
in the Old Testament, the prophet Ezekiel and Jeremiah mention a new covenant.
New covenant, okay, that's fine.
Okay, and we've so spoke about it. Apparently the Quran is silent on this covenant.
No, I told you about it.
Well, there's another covenant, but this new covenant that Jesus mentioned.
Yeah. Okay, but my friend, the thing is, regarding the covenant, that's absolutely fine. But the question that I was asking you again, sorry that
but what is the new covenant? Because it's quite important, because we know what the old covenant is, the Mosaic covenant, it's the law.
Yeah.
But what is the new covenant?
Okay, cool. I'm going to ask you a simple question. So back in the times of Moses at that time, the New Testament did not exist, right? Back in the time of Moses, of course. So he had to follow the law according to his time. So of course, like the brother explained very well as well, that we believe that Isa alayhi salam, he had the Injeel. And you asked, where is the Injeel? How can I find the Injeel now? At that time of Jesus, the Injeel existed with the language that he spoke. Okay, and we can clearly see, if you go back to the Bible, and I think you agree with this as well, I'm sure you agree with this, that the oldest traces of the Bible, when it comes to the manuscripts, the language that Jesus spoke, which was Aramaic, we cannot see any traces of the original work, the original language of the Bible. So if we cannot see the original trace or the original language, how can we follow a book when it's been translated multiple times from Greek, then to Hebrew, then to English? So 3 different variations of translations, which will mean the revelations will not be accurate. But remember, I said to you very interestingly, which I think you would have been quite amazed about it as well, that the Quran, the exact Arabic, the Fusha Arabic that was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the same Arabic that we can go back to right now. We don't even need to read the translation. We can go to the direct Arabic. But that's, I would say, the foundation question that I want to go back to, my friend, if you don't mind, is about the worship of the one God. Okay? Because I believe that's the most important question that we're going to get. Which you agree with this, right? That worship, the one God is the most important thing. Okay, that's fine. We worship that one God, right? We call him Allah, okay? We worship that one God. The question I asked you before, which I'm going to ask you again, just to clarify, is that do we associate any partners when it comes to the worship of God? Can you just answer the question, just so I can see if we're in the same length?
The partners?
Yeah, so can I give you an example? Like, for example, Jesus.
Okay. Before Jesus ascended, he spoke with his disciples.
Okay.
And he said, the Father has given me all authority in heaven and on earth.
Okay.
So, what does that mean? Well, I don't think God or Allah would give authority in heaven and earth to a man.
Okay, firstly, for example, I believe that, for example, Jesus, peace be upon him, he had authority in the earth, okay?
And the heavens.
No, when you say heavens, I don't believe in that, because that's your version, Not in the heavens. We believe Allah is the controller of the heavens and all affairs, okay? So when Jesus came to the world, yes, we believe he came with a message. He came with a message, which I think we have to go back to, is to worship one God. Why do I say this? Because Jesus, many times, he clearly said in many statements, the only true God is the Father. Many times, Jesus, we can clearly see, even in the Bible, in Mark, we can clearly see, either it's Mark or Matthew, I believe it's Mark, Jesus was prostrating on the floor, worshipping that true God. And you said you're a follower of Jesus, right? So if you're a follower of Jesus, we shouldn't be worshipping Jesus, rather we should be worshipping the creator of Jesus, which is the true God, the Father. Now I want to ask you a question that I want you to think about, honestly, yeah? Do you believe that God is all-knowing?
All-knowing?
All-knowing means he knows everything, every knowledge that you can think of, he knows. You don't, because you're nodding. So I'm sure surely he does, right? Because by definition, that's fine. No problem. Sometimes we have to think about it. But the reason why I said that is, by definition, God, if we believe in God, he must have following attributes. Let's see if we're both on the same page. God is the all-knowing, right? God is the most wise. He's the most knowledgeable. He's the most powerful. Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page right now? Oh, fantastic, amazing.
He's above everything.
Above everything. Thank you so much. We agree with this, yeah?
His spirit.
Above everything. Okay, that's fine. Absolutely. As Muslims, we believe that Allah is above his throne. So what we say to you is that if God has these attributes of all-knowing, let's put these attributes to the test of Jesus now, yeah? Let's put the attributes to the test of Jesus. Do you believe that Jesus is all-knowing?
He is now.
So was he all-knowing at one point? Or he wasn't?
Well, he could tell you what would happen in the future.
So does he have the power of knowledge? Does he have all-knowing? Does he have all knowledge in him, in his essence?
Now he does, yeah.
Yeah, because he's God, according to you, right?
he's the son of God.
He's the son of God according to you.
Yeah.
So should the son of God have knowledge of everything? Surely he would. Surely he would.
If he now has authority after his resurrection in heaven and earth, this is what he said in the, as his, then he must know.
No, because remember we had an agreement that God knows everything, right? So that's the same logic that I was trying to apply to Jesus. I was asking that Jesus must know everything because he's the son of God. You said yes. But if we go back to the Bible and we clearly see the statements when one of the disciples asked Jesus, when is the hour? What did he respond with? This is very interesting to me. Like, even though I'm not a Christian, I find it's very interesting to see how Christians still believe that Jesus is God after this verses. What he says is that no one in the heavens and earth knows the hour, neither the angels in heaven. Only, Jesus said this by the way, neither the Son, by the way, he also mentioned neither the Son, only the Father knows the hour. Which is very interesting to me, because if Jesus is the Son of God, or even if he's God according to some Christians, then surely he must know the knowledge of the hour. Because he does not know, that means there's a clear distinction between the Father and between Jesus. And what I'll say to you is, just to link it back to Islam, that we believe that Jesus is a mighty messenger of God. He came from a miraculous birth. He did miracles, no doubt about that. Of course, we're on the same page. But he did not associate any sort of deity towards himself. Rather, he said, worship that one God. And Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, just to let you know, by the way, do you know a lot about Prophet Muhammad, or just basics?
Little bits.
Just little bits, basics, just so you heard about him, like he came Islam and everything. Cool. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came to the people and he said to everyone, the idol worshippers, the Christians, that there's only one true God, and that's Allah. Now we have to worship him, and we have to worship him in truth, and we shouldn't associate any sort of worship or partnership except him. This is when it comes back to the foundations, and that's why in Islam the most important thing is the shahada, our testimony, that we believe that there is no God worthy of worship in truth except Allah. And this is what we recommend you as well, my friend, that you know instinctively from your natural inclination that there's one God. There has to be, right? But the Son of God does not make sense. A Son of God cannot be God. Why? Because David was also called the Son of God. Moses was also called the Son of God. You understand where I'm coming from? So does that make sense to you though, everything that I said? Just so if there's any disagreements, let me know.
Yeah, well, I mean, we agree there's one God.
Agreed there's one God, fantastic, and he has attributes.
But what we disagree on probably is that the divinity of Christ.
Yeah.
Because in the Bible, Christ went up a mountain.
Okay.
As a man.
Okay.
And he spoke to Moses.
Okay.
And the guy here laughed when I said this, but it's what it's called in the Bible. He spoke to Moses and Elijah. He took on this white apparel. They spoke about what he had to accomplish in Jerusalem, and then he came back as a man down the mountain, and the disciples saw it. So
I understand the story what you're talking about. That doesn't make sense, but
was he divine in that story?
Okay, cool. According to your belief, even if he's divine or not, I honestly believe that's not the foundation. Can I tell you why? Because the foundation is that in order for someone to be God, he has to qualify to certain attributes. Can I give you an example now? Do you believe that God can be all-knowing and not all-knowing at the same time? Do you believe in this?
Well, you mentioned he didn't know the day or the hour.
Yeah, sure, he didn't.
But if you read all of the Bible, all the New Testament, in the book of Acts, chapter 1, he's risen from the dead. He's just about to ascend, and his disciples come. Chapter 1, verse 7, I think. And they ask him a question. Okay. And it's quite an interesting question. Bear in mind, they've seen him do what he did.
It's a miracle, I know. But sorry to...
But the question he asked, and it's related to your point. They say, will you now restore the kingdom to Israel? Okay. But the interesting is how Jesus responds. He says, he doesn't say, I don't know. He just said, the time is not for you to know. Okay. Go and be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. So did he know the time then? Okay. So what I would say to you is, look, again, that's a very... What I can say to you is that this is a assumption now, because what I'm going to say to you is that, again, back to the foundations, when it comes to miracles and stuff, do you believe the Antichrist will also do miracles, right? The Antichrist, he will also do miracles. Jesus will also do miracles as well, right? And he's already done miracles. So the thing is, the criteria of someone to determine that if he's divine is not the miracles, with all due respect. The Prophet Muhammad did miracles, he split the moon. Musa alayhi salam, the Moses, he did miracles, he split the sea. That's not the criteria. Rather, I would like to emphasize is that you have to go back to the foundations. That's my emphasis to you. I understand you're mentioning parables, you're mentioning some miracles in the Bible. I understand that, I appreciate where you're coming from. But what I would say to you is that you have to go back to the foundations. If I build a house, for example, yeah, I'm not going to start with the windows. Rather, I'm going to start from the base. I'm going to start from the foundations. Then I will move on to the windows. Right now, I believe that you're going through the windows. With all due respect, I'm not trying to say anything. So the attributes of God is all knowing, is all knowledgeable, right? And you said maybe that he might know, but clearly in the Bible, Jesus said, no one knows the hour. Neither the Son. The Son is talking about himself. You believe that Jesus is a Son?
He says that at one point.
Son.
Does he? But when that's before he's crucified. After he's crucified, he doesn't say the Son.
Okay, that's fine. So before he's crucified, he did not have knowledge of the hour. Do you agree with this?
Well, that's what the Bible says.
So that's fine. So when he did not have knowledge of the hour, does that mean he's still God? Think about it if you answer, please. Think about it. I want you to think about it. Don't just answer for the sake of think about it.
Yeah, I mean, spiritually,
spiritually, or like in his essence, was he God or was he not God at that time?
Like I say, he never claimed to be the Father, but he said, if you know me, you know the Father.
Yeah, but was he God? Simple question. Sorry to interrupt, but was he God at that time?
What does God mean, though?
What is God according to you?
Well,
I believe in that one true God, the Father.
I do as well, but I also think that God is. We can't limit God. You know, he can do whatever he wants. So,
do you believe? Are you sure you believe in that? God can do whatever he wants. Can God cease to exist? Does God cease to exist? Does God lie?
It's a hypothetical.
No, but honestly speaking, think about it. I believe in Allah, for example, yeah? Allah does things that befits His Majesty, okay? Allah does not do things that have the absurdities. He does everything, but excludes the absurdities. For example, God does not lie. God does not forget. God does not need to eat food. And you know that's something interesting as well in the Quran. It says that, just to like link it back in afterwards, is that Jesus and Mary used to eat food. Like by definition, of course, me and you can agree on the same page that God is self-sufficient, right? God does not need to eat food, right? God does not need to go to the toilet, right? So when we see Jesus,
well, I don't know. He might.
No, come on. Well, God goes to the toilet. Think about it. You're a logical man. I'm speaking to you right now. You seem reasonable. God does not go to the toilet.
I haven't been to heaven. I don't know.
No, but like in this world, do you believe that God would come in a human form and take a toilet and eat food? Does that make sense to you, logically speaking, from your natural inclination?
I think he's able to do it.
Very windy, isn't it? Very windy today. Sorry. It's very windy today, isn't it?
I think God. I think God can do anything. He spoke for an animal.
Okay, so can God cease to exist?
Why would he do that?
What else have you got?
No, but you said God can do everything, so that's why I wanted to understand your logic. Can God cease to exist?
I mean, the context is. Would he want? I mean, are we made in His likeness?
Yeah, not in the exact same likeness, no. In His image, but not in His exact.
So what does that mean?
No, for example, there's Islamic way and then there's a Christian way. I understand where you're going to come from. But again, what I would say to you is that back to the foundations is that God, you said that God can do everything. I asked you, can God cease to exist? Can God kill himself? Can God lie?
I don't know the answer.
No, the answer is that by definition, God is just, right? God is the most merciful. God is all-knowing, right? So God has His attributes. If God would lie, God is truthful, right? So if you say that God is truthful, and then I ask you the question again, does God lie? Of course, you cannot say he will lie, because that will make it a contradiction. So what I'm appealing to you is that, just so we can link it back to Islam, because I want to talk more about Islam and how our concept is for you to understand, is in Islam that we affirm that there's one God, and we believe that He has attributes: all powerful, all knowledgeable, all wise. He's a judge. Okay, He fits all these attributes. If the attributes were contradicted, then that would not make that person God. That would not make the entity God. So that's what I'm trying to mention to you, is that as Muslims, we believe in all the prophets. Okay, we believe in Moses, we believe in Noah, we believe in Musa alayhi salam. Okay, we believe in Nabi sallallahu Adam. We believe in all these prophets, and all of these prophets, they came with the same message. You know, the interesting thing is to worship one God and to associate and do not associate any partners with God. Okay, and that's why we say, I advise you many times, even in the Bible, many times it clearly shows that Jesus was just a human being. When someone called him good, what did he say? Don't call me good, only the Father is good. When someone asked the hour, I don't know the hour, only the Father knows the hour. Dawah. Something that's very interesting is, I think about it all the time, so you never see Jesus commanding the Father to worship him. Rather, you always see the Father commanding Jesus to worship him. I'm not talking about glorification, I'm talking about worship. Not once did you see the Father worshipping or prostrating to Jesus. So that's what I'm saying to you, is that I highly recommend you to read the Quran. You cannot, I'm fantastic to hear about that. Now what we can do, we can also catch up. Read the Quran, understand the concept. My name was Osama. What's your name? David, look, Osama, yeah. That's what I mean. My name means lion, basically. Lion, yeah. They call me lion. Bro, yeah, exactly. But people think I look scary and stuff, but I think I'm very friendly. I think I'm a very friendly, nice person. I think you can judge that. Yeah. So what I'll say to David is that what we'll do is we'll meet again next time. I highly encourage you to read the Quran, understand the foundations. It's very simple. We believe in one God. We believe in the messengers. We believe in the angels. We believe in the last day of judgment. We have our pillars as well. Okay, and we also affirm the books. We affirm the Injeel, the Zabur that were given to the prophets. But at the end of the day, the core belief is that now that the Bible has been corrupted. If something has been corrupted and it's God's word, we cannot follow it. Rather, we have to follow the book that came, which Allah has promised that is going to come, the final book, unchanged. And there's so much miracles as well, honestly. Like, you like a lot about miracles. Can I just tell you a couple of miracles of Prophet Muhammad just before you go? Because I think miracles is something that you're into. The Prophet Muhammad said 1400 years ago, there'll be a time where barefooted Bedouin Arabs in Arabia will compete against each other to build the tallest buildings. 1400 years ago, Arabia was a full-on desert. There was no life, there was no people, nothing. Imagine the Prophet Muhammad 1400 years ago predicted. And previously, I believe the biggest building was Burj Khalifa, I believe so, in Dubai, right? The biggest building, one of the biggest, tallest buildings in Dubai. Burj Khalifa was the tallest of buildings. Cool. So it was. And then Saudi Arabia is competing against them to build the tallest of buildings. Not just that, the Prophet Muhammad also said there'll be a time that women will be dressed, but they will be naked. 1400 years ago, my friend. Very conservative environment. Everyone's modest, no body parts showing, no tight clothing. So he predicted that now we're living at a time where people are dressed at the same time, but you can still see the body parts. Prophet Muhammad predicted many things. And that's why I recommend you read the Quran. And what we can do is we can catch up next week, read all the stories, and I'm sure, I think already, it doesn't really make sense now, does it? That Jesus being God, the Son of God. When you think about it deeply, it doesn't really make sense.
Well, I mean,
honestly speaking, sincerely,
you have to look at all the titles Jesus gives himself, or others give him. An angel gave him a title.
But do you focus on the titles, or do you focus on the attributes that God has been, God needs to have?
I focus on what the heavenly beings say, because Muhammad focuses on what Gabriel said, and one of the angels said to Mary, in the Quran, he will be the Son of the Most High. That's what the angel called him.
But like we established already, David, that son is not used in a literal sense. Like, for example, I can say to you, like you can say to me actually, because I'm younger than you.
Who else?
Hey son.
Who else is called the Son of God?
Okay, David is called the Son of God. I believe Moses is called Son of God. I believe Ezra. I'm not too sure about him, but there's multiple prophets in the Old Testament that are called sons of God.
But they weren't born of a virgin.
So what? Adam was not born. Adam was born without a father and mother. So in the Quran, you know what it says? In the Quran, it says, the likeness of Jesus was the likeness of Adam. But Adam, for example, this is my statement now, Adam had no mother and father. So does that mean that he's more greater than Jesus then?
No.
That's what I'm saying to you. So don't use that as a criteria. But David, anyways, honestly, read the Quran. I want you to sincerely learn and think about this, and actually think about what I said to you as well.
Yeah, I will.
Of course, it's not just about like having a conversation, I respond, you respond. It's actually processing the information, seeking the truth, and having a sincere heart. And I pray Allah will guide you through the truth. David, it was very nice talking to you, and hopefully we can catch up after you read the Quran, because I want to give you some time.
Oh yeah, I've got. Yeah.
Is that our promise that you're going to read some? Perfect. Write the questions down. I'm sure there'll be other brothers that can speak to you about this. Yeah. David, pleasure. Pleasure, my friend. Take care. See you later.